Good morning, good morning. It is fabulous to have such a great turnout this morning. It's wonderful to have such a great Iowa Day to do this kind of an event, and no snow, no ice, so that's wonderful. It is my honor and my pleasure this morning to be able to introduce the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. I know that the 2012 election is going to be about ideas and solutions, helping us get back on track to rebuild the America we love. And there is no better person to get that job done than Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich.
Well, thank you all for coming out today. I want to thank Linda Upmeyer in particular. She has been absolutely the heart of our campaign here in Iowa. We're very proud of her. The first woman ever to be majority leader of the State House. She did a great job. And if you look at the budget that they worked out without tax increases and the way they worked very hard and diligently, Washington could learn a lot of lessons from Linda Upmeyer and the Republicans in the legislature and the governor and how to get things done that would make Washington a whole lot better. So I guess part of my campaign is to try to figure out how to educate Washington and be more like Iowa, rather than having Iowa become more like Washington. So, we are delighted to be here in the closing days of the campaign in Iowa. And let me just ask a question, because I'm curious. How many of you have received more than enough negative ads and mailers and what have you? I want to make two commitments to you. You're going to see ads from us for the next 6 days, and they're going to be positive. You're going to see ads from a so-called super PAC that favors me, and they're going to be positive. I think that we have enough trouble in this country that we ought to have a campaign of positive ideas and positive solutions, because the only person helped by negative ads is Barack Obama, and our business is to defeat him, not to help him, and I'm going to stay positive for that purpose. I am going to talk briefly and take questions, and if you want to ask any of the questions about the negative ads, I'll be glad to answer them, because I think you have a right to know the facts, and I'm perfectly happy to do that. We've also been doing telephone town hall meetings, and in fact, State Representative Josh Burns is here somewhere, and he's right over here. He actually got a call the other night as part of a telephone town hall meeting, so he and his daughter Alexandra joined in and participated in the call. And we had 9,700 people the other night at one of our telephone town hall meetings, and I'm happy to answer any question about some of these totally false charges and exaggerations. But I really want to focus on jobs and the economy. And there's a very powerful practical reason. You have a relatively good economy in Iowa compared to some parts of the country. But the United States is the economic engine which pulls the world economy. And there are very grave, troubling signs out there in Europe, in Asia, in the Middle East. And I think there's a very, very real danger that the world economy could take another step downward in 2012. And having a healthy, vibrant American economy is a key part of us getting ahead. Now, I'm going to talk to you about what I would do as president, but let me say in passing, I think the disaster of the president and the Congress passing a 2-month extension and going home as though they'd accomplished something is really embarrassing. I don't think I have ever seen Washington more dysfunctional on a bipartisan basis than it is right now. And I think this is very serious for the country because it's a mess. I mean, no business knows right now how to plan. No family knows how to plan. You know they're going to have another crisis in February. To kick the ball down the road 2 months to another crisis probably in May. To kick the ball down the road. And this is an absurd way to govern. Now, I say this with experience. I was a junior member when Ronald Reagan was elected. Chip O'Neill was Speaker of the House. We had to get 1/3 of the Democrats in order to pass anything. And we did. When I became Speaker of the House, we had a Democratic president. We had to get his signature to get things in law. And we worked and we got Bill Clinton to sign welfare reform. We got him to sign the first tax cut in 16 years, the largest capital gains tax cut in history. And in fact, When we passed welfare reform, 2 out of 3 people went to work or went to school. Child poverty in America declined to the lowest point ever because parents were working. And the result was the Democrats split. 101 voted yes, 101 voted no. When we passed the tax cuts and the largest capital gains tax cut in history, unemployment dropped to 4.2%. Can you imagine how healthy we'd be at 4.2% unemployment right now? In that process, we were able to balance the budget for 4 straight years. So I have twice participated in serious bipartisan reforms where you had to be able to reach the American people with an idea and get the American people to reach their congressmen and senators in order to get things done. And I watch what's currently going on, and I will tell you, it's the cost of amateurism. Barack Obama does not have any idea how to be president. He has no idea how to negotiate. The leader of the Democrats in the Senate is deeply partisan. And so you have a logjam. And I have no idea what I would do if I were in John Boehner's shoes, because I was very fortunate both in the Reagan years and in the Clinton years to have somebody rational to work with. And you could actually negotiate. I mean, we fought pretty hard, as you'll remember. But we fought with an understanding that the country's bigger than our partisanship. And the country is bigger than our ideology, and we have to find a way to get the country to work in order for America to succeed. America only works when Americans are working. And that's a key principle of this campaign. We're focusing on jobs and the economy and on economic growth. And I'm delighted that Art Laffer is coming in to campaign for me tomorrow. I first worked with Laffer in the late 1970s when Laffer, Winniski, Larry Kudlow, Richard Rahn, Jack Kemp, and a group of us were working on what's called supply-side economics. It's a very simple model. If you increase the number of jobs and you increase the amount of production, you solve problems by having more things, more oil, more gas, more ethanol, more corn production, more manufacturing. And that mops up money, and it mops up unemployment. And so there was a fundamental intellectual argument with Keynesian economics, which basically focused on the demand side. Many people thought we'd won the argument between Margaret Thatcher in Great Britain and Ronald Reagan in the United States. And in fact, Daniel Yergin wrote a fascinating book called The Commanding Heights, in which he described how Hayek and the Austrian economist had won, and Keynes and the demand guys had lost. It wasn't true. The reason the establishment in both parties likes Keynesian economics is it puts control with the politicians. The reason they don't like the Ronald Reagan, Jack Kemp, Newt Gingrich supply-side approach is it puts power in the hands of the people. If you believe in markets, that means you have to make decisions. It means you have to be in charge. If you believe that entrepreneurs create jobs, it means you are in fact going to be in charge. The president doesn't create jobs. The president can create conditions that favor jobs, or they can create conditions that hurt jobs. But in the end, you have to arouse the American people, because it's the American people who create jobs. It's the hard work of Americans that creates jobs. So we're back in exactly the same competition between a populist supply-side approach that Reagan and Kemp and I popularized 30 years ago, and the much more timid, Washington-centered approach, which will not create jobs. And of course, Obama represents the extreme version, which is a Saul Alinsky radicalism, which actually kills jobs. Consider the Reagan model. Cut taxes, cut regulations, strengthen American energy production, and praise the people who create jobs. Say it's important to go out and open up a small business. It's important to show up for work on Monday. It's important to save and invest. Then look at the Obama model. Higher taxes, more regulations, anti-American energy, and class warfare to attack the people who create jobs. And I don't think the White House has a clue. I mean, I don't think that they get up in the morning and say, how many jobs can we kill today? I just think they don't realize that their ideology kills jobs. So you take the XL Keystone Pipeline. 20,000 jobs immediately. Billions of dollars of oil going through Houston, which is the largest refinery complex in the world. A generation of money coming to the U.S. from Canadian oil on the way to worldwide distribution. Excuse me. The president postpones it. Doesn't want to make a decision. Why? Because his environmental extremists are against building a pipeline. For a very abstract reason. It's not because they worry about pipelines. We build pipelines all the time. They don't want Canadian oil in the world market because of the indirect byproduct that they see in terms of global warming. Therefore, they're trying to find a way to keep Canadian oil in Canada. Now, here's the problem. It's one thing if you have an administration that can't play chess. It's another thing if you have an administration that can't play checkers. But if you have an administration that can't play tic-tac-toe, you're in deep trouble. The Canadians are not trapped by Barack Obama. The Canadians can take Chinese money to build the very same pipeline straight west across the Rockies, put it in Vancouver. Not a penny will come to the United States, not a job will be created in the United States, the environmentalists will lose because the oil is going to be used by the Chinese. And that's what the president's faced with. And I don't think he understands it. So he goes to Brazil and he says to the Brazilians, I really want to be your best customer. He praises the Brazilians for drilling offshore, which he stops us from doing. He tells them how glad he is we could guarantee $2 billion in equipment for a George Soros invested company. And then he praises them and says, I'd like to be your best customer. This is exactly backwards. And every Iowa farmer knows this. We do not want the President of the United States to be a purchasing agent for foreign countries. We want the President of the United States to be a salesman for American products. If we don't sell American agricultural products worldwide, we will have a depression in farm country. So we need a president who goes out and opens up markets for American agricultural products because it is we produce more than we're going to absorb here at home. And I think Obama has it exactly backwards. We have an economic growth plan, which you can see at Newt.org. It's very straightforward. Remember I said, cut taxes, cut regulations, strengthen American energy, favor people who actually create jobs. On taxes, we have zero capital gains so that hundreds of billions of dollars will pour into the U.S. to create factories and firms and give us an enormous economic advantage. We go to a 12.5% corporate tax rate, which is the Irish tax level. That guarantees that, first of all, $700 billion will come back home in profits that are currently locked up overseas that they won't bring back home at a 35% rate. It means, second, that our companies will compete worldwide. This will give us a lower corporate tax rate than Canada. And so we will be very competitive worldwide. And third, it means General Electric will actually pay taxes because it will be cheaper to pay taxes than to hire tax lawyers at 12.5%. We have 100% expensing. What that means is if you're a farmer or a factory or a business, all new equipment gets written off in 1 year. And the purpose is very direct. If we're going to compete with China and India, we have to have the most modern equipment in the world in order for our workers to be the most productive in the world. And because we need productivity, I also favor changing unemployment compensation so that if you sign up for unemployment compensation, you have to sign up for a training program by a business. So we are investing in creating better human capital and better skills and a better workforce. We are not paying people for 99 weeks for doing nothing. So, the new equipment combined with a better trained workforce means we'll be the most competitive manufacturing country in the world. We also permanently abolish the death tax because it is fundamentally immoral to say to people, if you work and save your entire lifetime and do the right thing your entire lifetime, some politician can take half of it away from your family when you die. You should not have to visit the IRS and the undertaker the same week, period. And so we abolish the death tax.